All right. In this video, we're going to try to answer the question, what happened to my Vinylite strip to make the pith ball attract? All right. And before I go into it, what we have to think is, well, why would anything attract in the first place electrically? Well, there has to be a difference in charges. So how did this get created, though, in the first place? All right, well, what we did before we took that Vinylite and put it next to the pith ball is we rubbed it with paper. And so it was what was going on in the interaction between these two objects that did something to the Vinylite. And I have paper, which is an insulator, and Vinylite, which is also an insulator. So these are two insulators, and I'm showing that by putting them on a background where I have my atoms of this material have a very filled electron shell, so it makes it difficult for electrons to pass through that material. All right. So starting off, my objects are completely neutral everywhere. All right. There's an equal amount of protons to electrons everywhere in my object. And then what's going to happen, though, is we took the paper and we rubbed it against the Vinylite. All right. This friction caused electrons to jump from the paper to the Vinylite. So this is an example of charging by friction, where we have these two neutral objects, you rub them together, one becomes kind of positive on one side, the other becomes negative on one side. And why did the electrons go from the Vinylite strip, from the paper to the Vinylite strip and not the other way around? Well, we would have to look at our triboelectric series in this case, right? And so as we go further down this list, these objects have a higher electron affinity. What does that mean? Essentially, as we go further down this list, these objects want the electrons more. So we have paper right here and we have Vinylite right here. And since Vinylite's further down on the list, it wants those electrons more. So when we rub these two objects together, the Vinylite gets the electrons. All right, so let's look at the charges of my objects afterwards. All right, they're no longer just neutral. All right. When the electrons jump over, since this is an insulator and we don't have we have these filled electron shells, it makes it really difficult for electrons to want to jump or move through the material to the other side. So it's really just this side of my Vinylite strip that is negative. Same thing with my paper. All right. Electrons really can't move to this other side to kind of balance that out. So this side of my paper is actually going to remain neutral. Same thing with my Vinylite strip. Right? They're contained in one place. All right. So now we're going to go back to that question, well, what happened to the Vinylite strip to make that pith ball attract? Well, if we look at our Vinylite strip, it's negative right here. And the pith ball is going to be neutral. So I do have a difference in charge, just like I had said in the beginning of the video. And if I have a difference in charges, that's going to make those two objects attract.